An old baseball saying, a bloop and a blast.
Bloop and a blast.
Bloop and a blast. Big Sexy, Luke Hughes.
Going back, this ball's back and gone in his first major league at bat. Luke Hughes hits a home run. What a moment for Luke Hughes. What a moment for Australia.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Bloop and a Blast podcast. My name is Big Sexy. I am the Bloop. His name is Luke Hughes. He is the Blast, but we've got a guest. We've got a guest with us right now. It's Tank. Chris Adamson, how are you, mate?
Good, thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for jumping on with us, mate. Obviously, ahead of a pretty huge season here. I'm sure Hughesy's just chomping at the bit to get in and ask you a bunch of questions. But I mean, it must be awesome for you to be back here and back with Adelaide again this season. And you know, there's been so many changes across the league, and I'm sure we'll get into that throughout it. But big WBC year, not only that, but you know, Adelaide's back, and so many things are happening. It is quite an exciting time, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's a pretty exciting time just for Australian baseball. Honestly, it's always personally, it's always good to get home. But you know, just being back out there's plenty of fresh faces, and you know, at the end of the day, it's, you know, we're lucky to still be playing this year. I think there's a lot of guys that share that same sentiment. So just to be out in the field with a bunch of guys from different backgrounds all around the country, it's been pretty cool. I'm looking forward to getting going.
Mate, how long have you been back in Australia, mate? And how's the time been, having a little bit of downtime after the season?
Yeah, it's been great. I've been back for 3 weeks. So it was right before the school holidays. So pretty much just got home and just kicked it with the family for a couple of weeks, which was awesome. You know, getting home, it's, you know, it's somewhere I get asked a fair bit if I'd ever live over the seas, and you know, just coming home is something that I love. You know, it's a good time of year. I get home for footy finals and stuff like that, and you know, I love that. And then the horse racing kicks off too, so it's a good time to be in Australia. But
mate, Melbourne
off, and now we're back into it. So no, it's been fun.
Mate, Melbourne's a light at the moment. I just have to tell you, it is a bit disappointing with my availability to attend race days, seeing that most of them are on Saturdays, and I've had to knock back some tickets to a couple of big events. So, yeah, the old punting app's getting a bit of a fair workout at the moment, and not much winning, by the way. So if you got some tips, mate, send them through.
No, I'm just riding the Essendon Bombers baseball club right now, man, and I heard with you at the helm, I heard they're trending in the right direction. So
yeah, objections will be up probably. You know,
no. The short fuse has been put away, mate. I'm on my best behaviour, and the boys are travelling well. Thanks, mate, for bringing Essendon up. That's great. We could probably do a whole podcast on Essendon, but we won't. Back to the most important thing, mate. Like obviously, training is kicked off down there in Adelaide. As you mentioned off air, a lot of new faces and people to get to know. Always interested on how quickly teams can bring that culture piece together. And you guys have done a fantastic job over the course of the last 5 years. And I know you've spoken about it heavily. How's the team looking? And obviously you got some good signings, mate. Give us some goss.
Yeah, I mean, as you mentioned, like the cultural piece it's unique in this league, and it is always where, you're essentially turning over at least half your roster all the time. But, I just firmly believe that, the guys that are entrenched in wherever it is, whether it be Perth or Adelaide, Brisbane, wherever, they're the ones that create the culture. And then when the imports and the guys from the different parts come in, they're coming into something that's pre-existing. So, the guys that have been around it right now, we've got guys coming off their first pro years, so they've got, an extra urge to just really go back to the States better than they were this year. And there's so many learnings, so that's exciting. And there's other guys trying to get their feet wet in the ABL for the first time. So it's just exciting because it's guys at all different stages of their careers, particularly on the younger side. It's just been cool to see. And, they're getting after it right now, which is cool. And, it's that air of anticipation. But the messaging with them is ultimately that, when people come in, it's to your team. So what do you want the team to be about? Because, they can hear everything from staff members and coaches and front office and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, the players are going to be enforcing what they want to enforce and, the standard that they want to uphold. So, it seems like we've got a lot of good guys around it. There's more good ones to come. So as I've said a few times, it's very exciting.
Just quickly, Tank, and obviously I don't think you're the kind of guy to give me the answer that I want, but I'm going to put it out there and I'm going to put it on you, and you feel free to shoot me down. But are there any of those young names that you would say, hey, this might be someone to watch this season coming out of Adelaide? I mean, I understand you don't want to like hump a bunch of pressure on them or anything like that, or throw, or anything like that at all.
Do it.
But is there anyone that you think like, hey, like I might not be aware of it, but like who should we be keeping an eye on out there out of that developmental sort of scene?
There's actually some really exciting guys here. Like some of we've got some arms like all coming off their, first year in pro ball that probably won't pitch this year just from a workload management standpoint. But, you've got the Alistair Tanner, Jack Bushell, Mitch Evans, they're three kids with the Tigers that are, just starting their journey. So them being rounded is just, it's really cool. And you can kind of use a crystal ball and look into the future. But one that really excites me, Drew Davies is one. He just came off his first full year in pro ball and he got out to an affiliate. I think for a lot of the Australian guys, and Hughesy can attest to this, just getting out of rookie ball, getting out of the complex, and getting on an airplane to go and play a baseball game. Like he did that this year, and just the learning. They come back and they're just so eager. Some of them get their pants pulled down at times, but they take a lot of those as learning and teachable moments and come back, just really eager. And, he's one for me. He's going to get a lot of at-bats this year. He'll play like corner outfield and play some at first base, and he's going to get the lion's share of at-bats. So it's just exciting, and, he's earned it. Nothing's given, and he's really earned it. So I'm really excited just to see those guys continue to grow.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. I love seeing young, guys coming back from, their first or second season and being able to see, I guess, the transition of where they went before they left, and then just having 6, 7, 8 months of straight baseball every single day and seeing the development not only on field but the maturity level go through the roof, and they learn a lot more about themselves being away from the comfort zone of mum and dad and family and friends. And a lot of players we've noticed over the years haven't been able to handle that transition that well, and I always love seeing the guys come back into the team and really. I also love the fact of getting some young talent within the Australian Baseball League. That's important, especially with all the future, national teams that are going to be selected over the next, call it 6 or 7 years, right? So, I thoroughly enjoy hearing names like Drew Davis get thrown out there, and I'll be watching for sure, mate.
Yeah, it's exciting. I mean, like you've lived it, and that's what a lot of the time it's hard to really, prepare guys back here for what they're going to experience, because the reality is we can't replicate it back here, so essentially in baseball you've either been humbled or you're about to be humbled. So there's times that the quicker that can happen, it can go two ways from there. You can see it as a good test and get hungry, or you can let the game punch you in the mouth, because the game's hard, and doing it every single day where there's essentially no reprieve. You're living with your teammates and all that. It's good, but there's no escape. So just the ability to, use that term grind and just embrace it. It's something that's cool. And, at the end of the day, it's hard not to get better in those environments when you're literally just doing it every day. So it's
Absolutely.
just fun to watch those guys develop.
I love that.
Sorry, Sexy, just one more question before you jump in. One of the biggest things that I've seen was Jack O'Loughlin, signing. That's huge for you guys and from the club aspect and for him as well, right? Sending him back pitching in the Australian Baseball League. I'm excited to see him go out there and play for you guys. What does that signing mean for the ball club for you guys? How does that set you guys up?
Yeah, I think it's multifaceted. Like for me, he's obviously, goes without saying, he's going to help us on the field. He's one of the very short list of major leaguers that have come out of this country, obviously, so there's the value there. But, I mentioned a guy like Mitch Evans, who's another tall, left-handed young pitcher at the beginning of his professional journey. And it's like, what can Jack pass on to him? And whilst we're speaking like Jack's this super old guy, he's absolutely not. He's mid-20s, It's not like he's the big veteran piece from an age standpoint, but just to see a young pro, see a guy that has reached the top, and to see the steps in there and the different things to pick up, I think that's where it's invaluable. And I think that's what's really cool about Australian baseball is there's been a lot of that passing the baton over a whole bunch of years, and to see it in our own backyard is something that, it has a chance to be really valuable for guys like not just Mitch being left-handed, but, it's fairly pertinent. But a lot of those young guys, it's like, okay, we'll have Curtis Mead practicing with us every day too. It's like, all right, you want to get to the big leagues? This is how big leaguers work. You know what I mean? Like you got to set a pretty high bar for yourself to give yourself the best chance. Because at the end of the day, especially when it becomes your job, it's like, what can you do on a daily basis to give yourself the best chance of success at the end of the day,
And his competitive nature, like knowing him, seeing him at a young age, he had it, right? Yeah, he's probably a little bit loose like all of us are at 16 and 17, but I'm sure there's been quite a bit of maturity go over the years, and especially the time in the States. And that's something that is invaluable to be able to pass on, right? You mentioned Curtis, like having two guys that have been there, done it, understand the work ethic and what goes into it, that you can't, like that's so hard to replicate. You can't get guys like that in all the time, and you've got two guys that are going to be around that group, mate. So that's going to be fantastic for those guys, and they'll be lapping that up for sure.
Yeah, it's awesome. Like even at practice tonight, we've got the under 18 state team that's working out there, and the hopes are that if you can get a handful of those guys that are able to take the next step, and the next step for a lot of the kids doesn't always necessarily have to mean pro ball, but it's like, what's the next step there? Whether it's establishing themselves in A grade, in the ABL, getting to college, whatever it is, just how do we keep as many guys playing at the top level relative to that particular individual for as long as possible? And I think that's where Baseball Australia provides a lot of opportunities for that, and it's something that I think we're pretty lucky to have.
Well, I guess too, like looking at it now, like, and it's making sense to me as I'm hearing you guys talk, right? Like, it's kind of a testament to the South Australian program, right? South Australia's had pretty good success throughout the juniors the last few years, let's say, but also as well, like the Giants themselves, you'd almost say 5 to 7 years, really, if you started to see this program really tick off. You're talking to me, okay, now we've got Jack O'Loughlin come back in, you've got Curtis Mead hanging out there a lot, you've got guys like Wellesley around, obviously, and just so much wealth, so many guys, and you've gone off and rattled off 3 guys that have signed pro ball deals, right, that are going to be back involved in this system. It's just going from strength to strength. And for me, this is me saying this, and I'm just putting it out there, like it makes sense that we've seen so many movements around the Giants roster, right? Like at first we're sort of thinking to ourselves, I could never have imagined a world where Ricks isn't playing for the Giants, right? Didn't make sense. But now we're starting to see all these pieces unfold and you go, oh, okay, right, that kind of makes sense. And not saying that you're going to replace a guy like Rickson very easily at all. We all understand that, and I'm sure it was a tricky spot. But again, you look at Briley Knight, he's going up to play for Sydney, play with his dad. That makes sense. But now, once we see what Adelaide's bringing in and the wealth of talent that you have, young and older or experienced, I should say, right? But you know what I mean? It's like, oh wow, this is amazing. This is really, really cool. And it's a testament to you guys down there doing what you've been doing for a number of years now. So yeah.
No, I mean, I appreciate it. And, the programs within Baseball SA have been great too. The high performance programs, within the state and nationwide. I know there's a lot of good HP people in all of these states. And there's more of that continuity, I feel like, between, junior Australian teams. Because at the end of the day, we're trying to set up a framework that gives the senior national team the best chance of success, right? So it's like we've mentioned quite a few times already, it's like, how do we make the pool of players as big and as deep as it can possibly be, given that, this is a smaller country athletically, but we've always punched above our weight. So it's like now there's a little bit more intrinsic belief, I feel like from a national standpoint, it's like, man, let's just continue to try and move the needle. It's like now we don't have to get against these quote unquote big baseball countries and just, try and have a crack. Now it's like, no, let's try and beat the brakes off them and see how we go. Like, let's do it. So it's something that's fun to be a part of. Like I love baseball and I love baseball in this country, and it's something that, if we all continue to pull in the same direction, I think we can continue to do cool things.
I want to talk to you a little bit about the national team in a little bit, but there's a couple more questions I've got on Adelaide. With the construction of the roster, mate, and, that coming together, how's that looking moving forward? I've noticed after last week when we were kind of like, mate, teams, give us some information to talk about. Give us some stuff, right? And
2 weeks ago.
This week, 2 weeks ago, sorry, and there's been a lot, right? A lot of information over the last 2 weeks of players and where they're going and signings and stuff like that. I'm sure you guys have got a lot up your sleeve. How's the team construction looking?
It's coming together well. It's been this year, just with some of the tweaks of the rules, which, if I digress just a little bit, I'm actually a huge fan of those, but having a heavy affiliated presence both from the States and Asia. I think it's a model that I think will eventually be more sustainable and just continue to have this league as a really developmental league, and
Mm.
that development not just being for our young Australian players and our even the more experienced Australian guys, but we probably don't give our league enough credit at times, I honestly feel, because it's held in fairly high esteem, like in numerous countries around the world, which is it's something that I'm proud of. But just with that, it's exciting. But with our team, I feel like the first half and the second half might actually look a little bit different. So, part of that, we're going to have some Tokyo Giants guys, just like we did last year. And as is the case with the NPB guys, for the most part, they're only here for the first half. So in the second half, you've got to kind of replace. So there'll be a little bit of turnover at the halfway point, but that's where we should have quite a few more Australians come out of the woodwork. So there'll be a couple more signings, but like Blake Townsend, who's just come off a hell of a year, and where he was in three levels and just dominated with the Pirates up in AAA. Like he'll be back there for the second half of the season. I'll give you a bit of we got Josh Hendrickson will be here, so you might know him. There's a bit of a scoop for you.
Here we go.
There we love a scoop. Love that.
There you go.
That's a big pick up. Another big, tall lefty.
Yeah, we love it,
Yeah.
But yeah, those guys. But a guy like him, again, he's had to battle. Like, he's one that's just awesome to speak to. Like, I was lucky enough to manage him in Pro Ball back in 2021, and then continued to pitch. Ends up getting hurt and he's out of the game, but works his butt off and rehabs essentially on his own and at a facility. Got himself back, pitched indie ball this year and killed it. And now he's a legitimate chance to come and continue to help this Australian team grow. So, guys like that, there's going to be that turnover, and then just some more experienced guys, the Mitch Newborns coming back in the second half. So, yeah, to not be too cliche, it's probably going to be a season of two halves, I don't know, that's the stupidest thing I probably ever said, but the team's probably going to look vastly different in the second half with an even heavier Australian presence.
Mate, that's exciting. The names you just dropped, right? Like, just thinking about like the starting rotation, the bullpen out of Aussie guys as well. Like you've mentioned, guys that have had a huge amount of success over the last 12 months. And you know how much we love Mitchy Newborn. Actually, you know what? His name probably hasn't been brought up in our podcast.
The count isn't as high this season, but last season, gosh almighty, word count was just off the charts.
Yeah, and do you know what? He never once messaged either too. Yeah. So I reckon I'm off him. That's the last time he gets a mention on this podcast. Nah, I'm joking. Nah, I love him. Mate, that sounds great, right? And it seems like everyone's firing up for the WBC, right? Everyone's like, look, let's get back. We'll have a break, fire it back up, call it whenever they're going to get back into playing to really be ready and firing and cracking for that WBC and the selection in that too, right? So that's a huge part. And you've got a huge part of, the national team, mate. How's that all coming together? Probably can't share too much information and keep a lot of probably pretty close to your heart, but how's that all looking, mate? Because I know you're very passionate about Australian team.
Yeah, I mean it's really exciting. Like the guys, WBC especially, where there's no restrictions with who we can try and get. Premier 12 and that, you're obviously a little bit hamstrung if someone's on a 40-man roster or whatever, but just with the WBC where you're a real chance to roll out, like Curtis, obviously he's been in the big leagues. He's not eligible for the Premier 12, but can come back into the WBC. And then all these guys, all of a sudden the Hendricksons and, we've got two Wells that are available for that team. So all of a sudden, just organically, our depth has magnified and just some of these kids that have gone to school and, might not have even necessarily been on the radar for the senior team 4 years ago, but they come out of these universities, some end up in Pro Bowl and some just, a whole lot of development happens there and they're going to be, really competitive guys in the ABL. So there's a lot of hard decisions, which is, I think, a great place to be, and ideally if we can get to the point that we have as many tough chats as possible, we're in a good spot. So, there's a lot of those guys, and all of a sudden, if you can get more guys healthy, Bazana is another one. So all of a sudden, you can roll out some guys that are fairly credentialed, and you can build a roster that is fairly, versatile with what guys can do, and it's just exciting because I think this pool continues to grow, and it's something that we're gonna, try and help flourish as best we can.
This WBC or this national team this year, and we kind of mentioned it a few weeks ago, is probably going to be the hardest selection process that I've seen for a national team for a long period of time, right? And the amount of, and I'm talking, well, it's both pitching and offense as well, but it's going to be hard to make this team. And there's a lot of guys that I think that have been there for a period of time now, the veteran guys that, look, man, there's some young guys knocking that door down, ready to kind of step in and take over. And they've played great over the last, call it 12, 24 months, right? So the guys I know would work harder, especially like a guy like a TK who's been the captain and been there for such a long period of time. I know for a fact on how hard he's currently working, getting prepared for, this season, knowing the fact that, yeah, he knows the end is right there, but wanting to be a huge part of that. And he will be a huge part of that too. But it's got to be exciting as a national team when you start having those conversations about the roster and you're like, shit, we've got some decisions here that we're going to have to make. And as you said, some hard conversations that are probably going to come at the coaching stuff shortly.
Yeah, and that it's a good problem to have. I think at any level, whether it be club ball, ABL, pro ball, national team, whatever. I think if you can get to the point that you're having numerous, you know, difficult conversations, it means that we're in a really good spot, and it means that we've just created an environment that people have continued to get better, and there's so much. I think one thing that we've done well nationally is try and get that national team together more frequently, and just more touch points, whether it's just exhibition games against KBO teams that are here for spring training or, little exhibition series, just having a little bit more continuity with just the systems that we've got in place and the staff members and things. I think it's all invaluable because at the end of the day, we're all trying to push the barrow in the same direction. So, if we set a goal that we can have 20 guys pissed off for not making the team, that's a pretty good thing. As sinister as that sounds, it's like,
yeah,
we just continue to be clear with our expectations and how we want to go about our business and what roles fit different guys. It's like be as transparent as possible and give ourselves the best chance, So if a guy's trying to make a team and doesn't get it, he gets some really specific feedback as to why he didn't, and tries to help us next year when we try and qualify for the Olympics. So, there's plenty of stuff happening, but it's just, I've said the word exciting about 45 times already, but
it's exciting.
It is. We might play a drinking game for that next time. I might go back and listen to it, but don't worry, mate. I'll repeat this thing.
I might have to go and cut that one out and get it on the soundboard. That'd be good. I've only got this one.
Oh my God, that's Luke Hughes.
There you go. Sorry, keep going.
So, mate, for you and the year that you've had, like you're so entrenched in baseball, internationally and obviously in Australia, and it's something that, would you have thought, I don't know how many years you've been over there now, mate, 7 or 8 years ago, that you'll be sitting here now still involved in pro ball over in the States, national team, or is this just a dream come true, mate, and just living it every day?
Yeah, to answer your question, no way. Like when I first moved to Adelaide, I just came down, trying to play baseball as long as I could. Moved here in 2011, and I had a real job by Christmas. So I was teaching for 6 years, like a little college type setup, and I thought that was pretty cool, doing a bit of baseball on the side. And yeah, to do this now, I'm just very lucky, like I'm just very, grateful for the game, honestly. It's like without the game, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have my son and my partner and all that stuff. So, some sliding doors moments along the way. But yeah, I feel extremely lucky, to get to do this every day. But I try not to ever lose that, So, even in the States, I try and bring a bit of a different perspective on some things, because the reality is my background is a little bit different, and, it's easy for guys to, fall into feeling sorry for themselves or, getting a little bit salty with different things. But, if I can try and give them a fresh hit of perspective from time to time as what the real world looks like, it's, they realize, or hopefully, that they're lucky. But yeah, to answer your question, mate, I'm very lucky to do what I do, and I'm just trying to enjoy it, as much as I can for as long as I can.
That's awesome, man. That's pretty cool. Look, I got a couple of random questions for you, Tank. I want to fire away, all right? And perspective based, right? So you've just finished up, you're over the stateside, you're coaching, you've been over there for a number of years now, right? You've just finished up. What's the go-to feed that you like to smack in after a big day of being out there with the boys?
Ooh,
Stateside.
stateside. I'm a sucker for a steak.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, is there a certain steakhouse that you go to around near where you guys are based or what?
There was actually, yeah, called the Orchid.
The Orchid. Okay.
Yeah, and it was kind of like a little bit sneaky, so I could just sit at the same spot at the bar and have a cocktail or two and
Yep.
have an egregiously large steak, and yeah,
Yeah.
just it was that was good. So yeah, it's not too
Any,
much. And then one thing though, that
yep.
was I don't know why I got on it so late, but it was like a hack, and I would just go to the grocery store and buy like little fresh baked like personal apple pies,
Okay.
Just- and then just like put it in the oven and a bit of ice cream on it. And my lord, I'm a simple
Hey, you're still looking great, Nick, mate. So can't
Oh,
have eaten too
I
many.
love
of them.
how excited you were about that apple pie. I appreciate that, man. That's
a bit
awesome.
bit of crumble stuff on the top. Like I'm not really a foodie, but I enjoyed that food.
Okay. And how do you order your steak, mate? Is it like look at us asking the hard hitting questions? We've already got a scoop, so we're in extra time. What? How do you order it? What is it? Medium rare? Rare?
Medium rare.
Yeah, medium rare.
The
Yeah.
New York strip, medium rare.
Yeah.
And then I'm a sucker for a cream spinach. Oh, I
Okay.
don't know how they do it, but
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
mean,
Like
Okay.
is that like a
Can I
sauce,
jump
is
in?
it? Cream spinach.
yeah, I mean, to be fair, it's not too dissimilar to like a spinach dip that you get at like Woolies, but
Simple man, guys.
Just chuck the Trump tax on there and charge a few extra bucks. I get. Can
Do
I ask
you
a
have a
question? in
go-to?
this?
Oh,
Can
I've got a second part of that question, Luke. All right,
Okay.
get in line. Did you have a go-to or anything, Luke, or like a certain spot that you'd love, like when you were over in a certain spot?
No, it just changed from like every level that you went to, and you had slightly a
Oh,
few
right.
more dollars to spend. So the
Yeah,
first year it was just like rotation Burger King, Taco Bell, and
yeah,
IHOP. It was just the three go-tos. IHOP, by the way. Holy
yeah.
cow! I wish there was an IHOP down here.
yeah.
There's a couple of like rip-offs, but yeah.
So
Anyway,
there's no IHOPs here.
yeah, okay, all right, calm down. So this is the second part of the question though, and I love where we've gone with this already. So you get back here, right? You've just landed a couple of a few weeks ago, right? What's the first feed you're going for? Something you've been hanging out for, man. Give it to me.
Oh, well, I mean, goes without saying, bakery food,
Mm.
a
Mm.
palmy.
Yep.
But I did find a spot in America that could do a palmy. It was kind of sacrilege for them, and they hated it. But I was like, don't worry about the pasta. Just give me the palmy chips. And they're like, what the hell, man? And I'm
You
like,
Aussies.
how I do it, whatever.
Yeah.
But
Love that.
yeah, bakery food, palmy, twisties.
Oh, big
Ah,
twisties guy.
right, okay.
And I'm a
Chicken.
big- I like cooking myself, so I like to get back here and cook my own steaks. But I got a smoker, and that thing cops an absolute flogging when I get back. So
Nice.
feeling like a lamb shoulder on the smoker.
Do any players get invited over for dinner, mate, or is that just like, nah, this is my spot? I'm not cooking for you.
Nah, there are. It started a few years ago actually, and it was Wednesdays back then. The night's going to have to probably pivot this year, but yeah, burgers. I'm a big burger guy, so I've got a decent burger recipe. So,
Ooh.
and then yeah, it started like a lot of the guys are here from on the other side of the world or the other side of the country, so it's a bit of a, come and have a meal and we talk about stuff. McArdle he's a frequent.
Well, I was going to
Yeah,
ask you,
J-Mac.
TVS surely not getting an invite. Surely TVS doesn't get an invite because
he's
you
on
wouldn't
the-
get much
He's on the
more
wait
words
list.
in.
He's on the
Yeah.
wait list at the moment.
Yeah.
But yeah, McArdle, he won't miss a free feed, so he'll be over here. And but yeah, the burgers too. So yeah, I
Interesting.
like to cook when I get home. So that's like the main thing. And a laksa.
I'll give you the.
I get a good laksa in America.
Don't mind a good laksa. I'll give you the Iggy. You guys are coming over here 13th to the 15th of November for round one. On the Tuesday night before you get here, go and book yourself some Big Don Smoked Meats tickets. I'm trying to get him as a sponsor, Hughesy. I had Big
Yeah.
Don Smoked Meats a couple of weeks ago. red hot, hot to trot. Look him up at Big Don Smoke Meats and just do yourself a favour. Check him out. You're into the smoke meats. He's your guy. Him and Hughesy mates from way back. He's big fan of Luke Hughes. Actually, he was. Drop Luke.
No, this quick backstory. I lived across the road from him, right? And I told this story a couple of weeks ago, and I could just smell something, and I was like, "What is this?" And I just kind of went hunting for it, and he's literally in the front of his little carport. He had like a smoker. And it was underground, like it was like an underground thing. No money changed hands or anything like that. Like people just like were rocking up for their meat and then just leaving. And I was like, mate, what do you got going on? Fast forward a few years, now he's got a full setup, warehouse, like amazing thing, mate.
Tickets
Check him
sell
out
in a minute. Tickets sell out like super quick. It's like this thing over here, and I finally had it for the first time in 2 years. Amazing. Sorry.
He's doing the spreads in Perth, I heard, this year, right?
Well, hopefully. Imagine that.
Hey, I'll do this for you, Tank, because you go and pick it up on a Saturday. You guys will probably be playing. You book the tickets. I'll go and pick it up, bring it to the ballpark. Easy. Done.
How about you just do it for him and pay for it and say thank you for coming on our podcast for the last couple of years?
We're not making enough money off this thing. But all right.
Earlier, I might just have to get ejected a little earlier. And
There you go. Can I ask one question because we're on this eating and drinking phase? What's the first beer that is it a Cooper's or are you not that?
No question.
It is.
Talk about sponsorship. I think it might have been 2020.
They were sponsoring you guys, weren't they?
I was trying to get them to sponsor me personally. When I was in America, I was like, because how this came about, Luke Prokopec, when he was in the big leagues, had a deal with Coopers, and he told me about it. I'm like, man. So I tried to write an email, make myself sound probably a little bit more esteemed than I actually was, and there was a little bit of traction until I don't know, probably a quick Google search, and they're like, no, this bloke's a nuffy. No free Coopers for him, but you can track it down a little bit in the States, but yeah, Cooper's Pale Ale is nectar of the gods.
What were you after? Just like a case or two every now and then, or was there a full-time contract? What are we talking? Brand ambassador?
Yeah, brand ambassador. Case or two a week, something like that. Yeah,
case or two a week.
Free sports bet credits. Let's go. That's awesome. Hey, Coopers, if you're listening, back this man. Coopers, fuck, what are you doing, man? Come on, let's go.
Yeah, West End might be a sponsor, so Coopers.
You're in trouble now. Are they? Do they own Coopers, West End, or anything like that? Are they connected in any way?
I think the Coopers family still owns Coopers.
Yeah, well, that's family owned. Hughesy, come on, lock in. Come on.
Yeah. Sorry, mate.
Family owned, operated. It's what happens in Adelaide, Just beautiful place.
I love it. Why did we start with food? That would have been way better. Look, we appreciate your take. Thank you so much for jumping on with us, mate. And I'm sorry that I didn't quite ask you all the hard hitting questions, but we got there. I'm still getting over the one quote that I loved earlier. If the game hasn't humbled you, it's about to. So I love that. I think that's pretty special. As we mentioned off air, I went 5 for 5 on the weekend in reserve grade. So I'm about to go 0 for 70. So that's really good. And now I'm actually terrified. Yeah. Easy luck.
That's the definition of humble right there.
Yeah, right there. Yeah, about to get humbled. Yeah.
Just have a short memory. It doesn't matter. Be a goldfish, man.
Yeah, that's it. We appreciate you, mate. Thanks for jumping on, and best of luck with this season. And, of course, beyond that, the WBC, it's going to be really exciting. And, yeah, man, we just appreciate having you here. So, cheers.
Thanks guys. Thanks for what you do for Australian baseball. It's awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, brother.
Thanks, man. Cheers.
It's an old baseball saying, a bloop and a blast.
Bloop and a blast.
Bloop and a blast. Big Sexy, Luke Hughes.
Going back. This ball